Oh, finally. Jeez. You write really slow. Oh, that's perfect. I was just about to repaint a locomotive myself.
Railroad paint schemes. The world would be pretty boring without it.
There's a heck of a lot of these worldwide, but for our case today, we'll just be looking at the schemes used on Amtrak services.
Amtrak is America's national passenger rail service. Wow, really? I thought they worked at Walmart.
Through its over 50-year history, Amtrak has gone through 7 different phases of paint schemes. Each phase denotes a nationwide scheme all rolling stock wore, unless it rejected conformity.
I know who you are. First up is Phase 1. Ah yes, the classic bloody nose. This scheme pretty much set the benchmark for Amtrak schemes for the next 30 years or so. Black roof, black underbody, and trucks with a silver body and some main kinda denoting feature. On Phase 1, that happened to be an analogy.
The bloody nose, as many dubbed it, was the main feature of Phase 1. It really upped that simplistic nature the scheme was going for. Amtrak, when it started service, needed something, dear God anything, to make people forget that the trackage they were running on was practically held together by Scotch tape.
You think I'm joking with that last point, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's what some railroads came to back then. But alas, Phase 1 eventually had to be swapped out for Phase 2. Phase 2, especially since the scheme that came after it was just it but a bit better, feels like a draft. This scheme was first worn by the F40s and the Superliner bi-levels. Phase 2 was most prominent on locomotives because Phase 1 on coaches was just Phase 2 but with the pointless arrow logo. Phase 3, it's Phase 2 but way better because of the redesign of the stripe. I don't think I have to tell you Phase 3 is one of, if not the best Amtrak scheme, quite literally the benchmark example on how to do a good paint scheme. It fits the rolling stock it's put on perfectly, it weathers well, it's simplistic yet still gets its point across, uses red, white, and blue because, you know.
Phase 3 was an absolute slam dunk of a scheme on Amtrak's part. This scheme was put on practically all rolling stock between the F40s in the 1970s to the Dash 8s and P42s in the 1990s. This scheme was good and Amtrak knew it.
And Phase 3 is the only scheme in Amtrak's history to genuinely be painted onto rolling stock in the modern day for non-heritage purposes. Phase 3 is about the closest you can come to a perfect scheme. Alright, enough gawking over Phase 3, let's give the real king of this competition a chance.
Think I've already managed to offend a bunch of really easily offended foamers, and I've only been here for like 10 minutes.
Phase 4 is damn near the perfect scheme for me. My main problem is the silver. Amtrak put it everywhere. The trucks, the plow, the fuel tank, the roof, they probably would have painted the crew silver too if they weren't so good at hiding behind those weirdly gold tinted windows.
If Amtrak could have just taken the black parts of Phase 3 and put them on the overall design of Phase 4, this would have been my absolute uncontested favorite Amtrak scheme.
Amtrak did have a northeastern version of Phase 4 that did kind of fix the silver problem. It expanded the charcoal gray, as they call it, from the main roof to the entire cab and vents. But the actual problematic part, the trucks and underbody, stayed silver.
Overall, Phase 4 is great and introduced one of Amtrak's most well-known paint scheme motifs, that being the American flag stripe across the locomotive and coaches for obvious reasons.
But because of that silver, this scheme still sits just below Phase 3 for me. The hell is a platinum mist?
And for my next trick, I'll find something more mid than Phase 5.
It probably has something to do with how this scheme was and still is everywhere, but this scheme just kind of reeks of early 2000s simplicity when people thought making everything silver with bits of blue made things look, dear God, anything but an ACS 64, but look what happened. Phase 5 isn't bad, just really average. I mean, like, sure it works, but it just lasted so damn long. It was first introduced in 2000 and was last put on the ACS 64s in 2014. Like, good God, Phase 5 knows how to do algebra. There isn't any way I'd make Phase 5 better, but it's in the same way there's no way to make McDonald's better. When you go to McDonald's, you expect to walk out with some C to your food, and lo and behold, That's true, once you look at that. Now, this isn't to say Phase 5 is synonymous with Amtrak. It absolutely is. It's up there with Phase 3 for brand recognition. But if Phase 3 marked Amtrak's first era of seeing genuine success, then Phase 5 marks Amtrak's odd period of stagnation it had from the Acela launch to the acquisition of Acela 64s when they weren't funded enough to actually do anything. Very average, very mid, and a whole lot of nothing going on.
Now here's where my biggest pet peeve comes in. Symmetry. In my opinion, you can't have a good scheme without it.
Look at Phase 4. Now look at Phase 5. Amtrak made the odd decision to ditch having the locomotives match with rolling stock. Like, sure, I get it, often they typically wouldn't match, but that doesn't mean you should just straight up give up entirely.
Then again, trying, seeing it's not working even though it can, and then completely giving up is how most people in power treat Amtrak, so I guess they took some inspiration.
Next up, Phase 6. Phase 6 is the definition of a transition scheme. It came in because Phase 7 wasn't ready to go yet, so Amtrak looked at an Acela 64 and realized, oh shoot, we've been looking at the answers all along.
When in doubt, make it blue. Look at talkies. You think blue heat is any different from purple?
Phase 6 went as follows. Red cab roof or side things, whatever you call this part of the Chargers that seemingly no one could get right when modeling them. Blue body, red arrow, and silver at the end. The best part of Phase 6 is the end, because it actually matches with Amtrak's gargantuan fleet of stainless steel equipment.
Past that, yeah, Phase 6 really has nothing to talk about. But just like Phase 2, it was merely a draft for a much, much better scheme.
Hey, want to hear Phase 3 former federal offense? Phase 7 is a top-tier Amtrak scheme.
Oh, no thank you. I prefer being stabbed, not shot.
The departure from Platinum Mist, while bold, was definitely a welcome refresh, and now the entire locomotive reflects that nice feeling of America.
Now, the reason for Phase 7's departure from all the other major schemes before it is because of the people who built it.
Siemens, who made the ALC 42 locomotives, have this thing where you can't have any complex designs on the big cooling vents on the side of the locomotive. I've heard two reasons for why this is. One is for weathering, the other is because it's hard to paint. Both reasons make sense, but you ever heard of just not painting the vents?
It's not just Amtrak who made this choice. Damn near every railroad who bought Chargers decided it's rebrand time just because they couldn't paint some vents.
Thankfully, unlike Amtrak and Siemens very obviously worked hard at making this scheme look good, and I think it's safe to say they accomplished it. Not like it matters anyway, because Amtrak has been on one hell of a painting spree and has been painting literally everything into Phase 7. You've of course got the ALCs and the Arrows, which come in the scheme, but then you've got the P42s, the Amfleets, the GP38s, the HHPCs, the Viewliners, the Superliners. Once again, thank God crews can hide behind that weirdly large desk on the Chargers, because I guarantee you Amtrak would paint them into this scheme too if they got the chance.
But through them doing that, it proved Phase 7's versatility. Thanks to Phase 7's striking colors and disconnected nature, you can pretty much stretch and fit this thing onto basically anything you want to put it on.
You probably weren't thinking it, but yes, Phase 7 is in fact the Bomb Pop scheme, and that will officially be my nickname for it going forward.
Overall, Phase 7 is a great scheme, and it seems like it'll be sticking around for a while.
Let's all agree. The kind of designs people made in the 2000s were cool for about 2 years and then got old real quick. The Acela 1 scheme is...
I'll take not good for 400.
Not good. Why do you think I had that whole statement on 2000 design being outdated? Sure, the power cars were fine. We're the partner in crime to the P42s and jumpstarting the whole no symmetry phase Amtrak is still partially in. But my main issue is the coaches. They're just, oh my god, just call it silver!
The Acela 1 coaches are a perfect example of early 2000s minimalism and a lack of foresight from literally anyone designing anything during that time.
The Acela 1s are like the iMac G3s. They were cool and modern at the time, but looking back, they look stupid. Okay, that's not to dog on the Acela 1 coaches too much. They do still understand the concept of weathering. Glad we got past that. But it looks like someone was designing the scheme on a piece of paper, got shot there and then, but it went in anyway because it was due to Ulstom the next morning. Sure, the colors mean something, but come on, anyone can do that. Thankfully, Amtrak set out to fix this with the Acela 2 train sets. The Acela 2 scheme is a really good scheme in my opinion. While yes, the power cars look like Nikes, the scheme they wear is modern and have a nice touch of detail, and most importantly, matches and looks like it's supposed to go fast. The Acela 1s look like they go on a PDF, the Acela 2s actually do the job of making people think they're traveling on a train in Europe or Asia.
While the Acela 1 scheme certainly needed some work, the Acela 2 scheme is great and is certainly here to stay.
I'm glad the idea of actually painting the equipment and disarming Amtrak's ability to use a Dulux color chart finally stuck, because before Phase 6 and the Acela 2s, this was a very one-off thing reserved for, I don't know, F-69s? Now, you can't have Amtrak without its state-supported routes. While yes, many state-supported routes utilize basic Amtrak fleet-wide colors, there are a select few who go by their own colors and branding, because we just needed to know we're in Seattle, the world depended on it.
Amtrak Pacific Surfliner, California, Midwest, Cascades, and the Piedmont are the 4 Amtrak state-supported services that get their own dedicated paint scheme. So let's sit back and laugh about how badly Nippon and the States screwed this one up.
So, the California and Midwest Chargers were supposed to go with the Nippon Shiro bilevels, but Nippon made a catastrophic fumble, and so Sumitomo, who was contracted to find the 2 services dear god anything, quickly pivoted to Siemens and bombarded them with a massive order of coaches, which went about as well as you'd expect. The paint schemes for the Siemens equipment on Midwest and California was so damn close to being great, but nope, mismatching is on the schedule. The Midwest scheme is by far the better of the 2, and hey, look at that, not painting the vents. Now why couldn't we all do this?
I'm a huge fan of the Midwest scheme. It's by far my favorite state-supported scheme. The only problem is just the ventures.
The Midwest Ventures look good on their own, and the Chargers look good on their own. When you put them together...
Yeah. Okay, yeah, talk to you later. So Chicago got deleted.
They could definitely change the Charger design, but it would take some getting used to. The good thing about this is the Midwest Chargers are nearing midlife refurb stage, so they could get it if they wanted.
Hey, a man can dream. A man can also get cholera too, so anything's up for grabs, really.
The California scheme, however, can be easily fixed, and it ruins my mood every time I remember that will never happen.
Oh, hell yeah, I just got awarded $1,500. 2120 Mario!
When paired with the Ventures, the spoiler is one hell of an eyesore, and this unfinished sketch of a tail makes it look nowhere near better. Sure, it's not awful, but it's not good, and when paired with the Ventures, it just barely misses the stripe on them, and it's painful to see it.
Well, can't say you didn't see this coming.
And don't even talk to me about the Venture Cab car scheme. We all know exactly what's wrong here, and I've given up on trying to fix it. The Surfliner scheme was better, but not really by much. Now don't get me wrong, this scheme was iconic when the PHIs were still a thing, but when the Chargers came in, I remember thinking how odd they looked with the new scheme. The blue watery part of the scheme looks almost unbalanced, like it's going through a bottleneck. Now the wave part at the front is cool, and it's a universal motif across all state-owned equipment for Amtrak California, minus Gold Runner buses, but Gold Runner as well. Gold Runners, so they don't really count.
Although the PHI scheme doesn't really work on the Chargers, so I'd say some redone scheme that maybe flows a bit better should have been what Caltrans went with, had they not painted the vents in the concept art.
Next up, Cascades. The Amtrak Cascade scheme is about the most slightly above average a state-supported scheme can get. I love the color combination, but since the Siemens vent rule sucks, the scheme has to stay away from the majority of the Charger body. Now, the original Cascade scheme was good and worked perfectly with the Talgo 6 sets, but then the Series 8s came in without the Tyler fins, and then the Series 6s got deleted, and then the Horizons came in, which just screwed everything up.
You know what would be funny? Cascades got ventures.
The Cascades Venture scheme is honestly really good. It utilizes the service's historically used colors well, and it actually works well with the pre-existing Chargers. As a bonus, the ALC-42E's paint was improved on from the Terminal Illness, 1403. Next up is the Piedmont service. This is one I feel like people don't even realize is an Amtrak service, because just looking at it you would not be able to tell. It's the only Amtrak service to use F59 PHs, and the only service to use coaches so old they probably remember the trenches.
The Piedmont is yet to receive any new equipment, so this may be the first one that may possibly be out of date by the time you're watching this. But probably not. Have you seen how old their equipment is?
The Piedmont uses a rather nice scheme, a mix of silver, blue, red, and gold with some nice North Carolina pride. Their locomotives are by far the best looking. This scheme is up there with the, we'll get to that, for schemes that work really well with F59s. The coaches, however...
Every time I see Piedmont coaches, I start hearing Stage 1 of The Caretaker.
Maybe it has something to do with how these coaches were originally made in the 1960s, but this scheme on them just looks old. A modern refresh on some ventures would absolutely do this scheme good, but I feel like it'll be a bit before we see that happen.
Next up, we have the scheme that everyone seems to just refuse to make outside of a real-life scale.
The original Amtrak California scheme is by far my favorite railroad paint scheme. The color combination of navy blue and gold is perfect and designed perfectly around the F-59 PHIs in California cars.
There is definitely some bias because I've always liked gold trim on anything, but you can't deny this scheme is good.
There isn't any good way I'd improve this scheme. I really like it, and I will gladly be taking this.
Overall, even Amtrak's lesser schemes are all pretty good. Just in general, Amtrak does a really good job when it comes to designing a scheme, and I hope it stays that way.
Genuinely though, what the hell is Platinum Mist?